you to go ahead and take the microphone and
Okay.
tell people who you are
All right.
and tell us about your projects and what we do.
No problem. Good afternoon, everyone. I am actually Birdella Hall Walker, aka Miss Dela. I'm an author, I'm a playwright, I'm a director, I'm a producer, and first of all, more than anything, I'm a child of God. I just love the Lord. I love the Lord, and I would not have been able to do anything that I do if it had not been for God. I want to start with my books here. I have Manhattan Secret. I'll take the other one too. And the second one is Manhattan Secret, The Edge of Death. This is the sequel. I want to tell a little story just before I talk about my books. When I was in 5th grade at the age of 10, my teacher, Miss Ashbury, I remember her so well, asked everyone in my class to write a play. Now you're 10 years old, and so that means your imagination has to start working, or it already was, because you're creative and didn't know. So I wrote my first play, and everyone else in the class wrote their play. And then we had a certain date to bring them back, so we brought them back, and when we did bring them back, we were told that, okay, whoever play is selected, that's the one that the class itself would do. So when she got my play and she read it, I guess she read everyone else's as well. Then she took my play in front of the class and ripped my play up and said I didn't write it. Devastated, I went home, I told my mom what had happened, but in that day, in that era, there was nothing my mom could do. It almost killed me. It devastated me to a point where I wanted to give up in my creativity, where I was just beginning. And here is a lady that's telling me what I cannot do. Here's a lady telling me what I didn't do. Didn't know the potential that was in me. She didn't know it, neither did I. And I almost lost that, Brent. But one of my pastors at the church began to see my work. And he's the poetry. I wrote a lot of poetry, so I would write my poetry and read it during some of the services. And then I did a play, and my pastor actually took that play and let me produce it at the age of, now I'm 16, I was 10 then, it took that long. So at the age of 16, I produced my first play. We ran it for an entire week at that church, and then my self-esteem, my value, everything started coming back. And so through that, God has begun to work a miracle in me. I remember I had gone to, now I'm moving up in age again, another 7-8 years. I'm 20, 22, 24, and I'm sitting at a modeling tea room session with some friends, and one of the gentlemen of the different persuasion asked me, had I ever thought about modeling? And I said, me, model? Are you serious? Now, I've already been told I was never going to be anything, and I wasn't attractive, and I was ugly, and I was all of that, so why would ugly me model? And that's what people instill in you. We become restrained by what other people say and dictate in our lives. And he said, no. He said, someone did that to you, but I see beauty in you. And so he gave me the name of a modeling agency called Lady Lane in Chicago. I went ahead and signed up, had to take a buddy with me. You know, you never want to do anything by yourself. So I took a friend, Linda Lang, with me, and we went and started modeling. From there, doors began to open for me. From there, I started moving and progressing towards California, and got out there and started the television, went through Caroline Leonetti's workshop for television, for filming, for motion pictures. I had an agent, started a Pepsi commercial. So I've done quite a bit. Even though that was at the age of 25, I'm still 25 now. Right. So that's just me. You can age yourself if you want to, but 25 is still inside of me. And so I remember all that. 10 is still inside of me because it was the jump start that I needed for someone to tell me that I couldn't. Right. For me, myself, to say that I could. And so I moved forward, and then I met my awesome husband, and we got married, and we've been married forever. And he began to see the qualities of singing, writing my own songs, and a lot of things that I've done. So what happened to me to be able to write the book, if you were to ask me a question, why did you write these books? The second book, you're a woman of God, you're a prophetess, you preach, you travel, you do all this. I will tell you, I had permission to do that from the Holy Spirit. What happened was I have a lot of imagination. I'm one of 17 siblings. I felt like, I saw that face, yes. Did I say 17?
Yes.
No, 19.
Okay.
There's
All right.
19. There's 13 girls and 6 boys from my mother and my father. But in the mix of that, you get lost. So I got lost in there. I have a twin sister. I got lost in that mix because I couldn't stand being around a lot of people. I was very quiet, very introverted, very afraid of people. And I had an imagination. And I don't know if any of you felt like I did, but at my young age, I would hide in a corner and I would sit there and say, all these people, and my mom would say, these people are your brothers and sisters. So I couldn't handle it, but I had this imagination. It was an escape for me to get away from that, to get away from my home and get away from what I had to live through. And my imagination was just being an only child and being loved by my dad and mom, by myself exclusively. I had an imagination of a lot of things, and as I got older, my imagination, I couldn't tell the difference between reality and my imagination. But I went to God and I said, God, some things are happening to me where I'm feeling like I'm losing it. And He spoke to me so clearly. He said, I want you to take the gift that I've given to you, and I want you to put it on paper.
Yes.
And I said, God, some of the things I think, I don't know that you want me to put that on paper. But anyway, God gave me permission to write my first book, which was called Manhattan Secret. My second one is Manhattan Secret, The Edge of Death. And I'm going to get into the story a little bit, and then I'll turn it back over to Brent. But I'm writing 3 other books simultaneously. I'm writing one called The Bench, with as a prosecuting attorney, and I'm writing one called Unconditional, which has to do with a black family and a white family during the, I think during the time of 1940s and during the Black Wall up in Detroit all the way to San Francisco, where they dealt with prejudices and had to come together, and at the end they had an unconditional love. And then the third book that I'm writing is called From Hell's Fire to Heaven's Grace, and that's about myself, what I've gone through. But when I completed this book, I'll talk about this one first, because it talks about a wealthy family with Eddie and Clarissa Ellington, and they had a daughter named Marilyn, and then there's a Sarah involved in it, and it just talks about how they had everything going for them, but Eddie had this demon inside of him. How many of you have read this book? How many of you have? Well, we've got some who have read it. It's powerful. Love romance, very sensual at some points, and it talks about how he let this demon inside of him grow until it destroyed his family. And it destroyed it to the point where Marilyn, then the daughter, ends in the second book, where she then is the key subject in this book, and how she handles the truth, how she handles it with revenge, and how she manages to find herself in this book. And what happens is you have to, when you write books, you have to become all the characters. And I had to become all of those characters, and there were times that I would have to put the book down for a week or two because the emotion was so great in what happened in there. But anyway, this is, I met Brent, and Brent feels that we can take this book and make it into a movie. Of course, we've tried it once before, and we want to make sure that this is going to be sound and solid, because this is precious to me. Absolutely. This is my life, and this is where God has led me. And so if you haven't gotten the book, I want to self-publish it, but it's already been published through Strategic Books. But you can go on Barnes & Noble, or you can go on Amazon and get it, or I have order blanks here. You can order the book from me. But I'm excited about the fact of the direction that I feel the Lord is taking us, and I trust and hope that everything works out in the way that we are seeing it work out. So Amen. Thank you all.
Amen. Now, what But now what I love about Ms. Dela is, again, like she said, whenever you create something that God has given you from the inside and you manifest it physically into the world and share it with other people, the part that she said that captures me the most is the fact that she says that this is her baby. And I don't take that lightly. And I hope it and pray that the people that I have invited out to come out for the meet and greet, when we actually do the trailer, we actually do whatever format that she wants it in, whether we end up doing a series or a made-for-television movie or something pushed to the theater or straight to streaming platforms like some of the networks where some of you guys locally have seen projects such as T. Wood's Real Nurses and North Cat web series go from being on social media platforms to now on Roku, on Indie Central Television, on Ambition Television Network, on the Rewind Network. So I take that very seriously. I started on this one, reading this one. She gave me this one first, and I'm on like close to chapter 6 now. And it is a book that contains a lot of elements. It's not, don't get it twisted. When she wrote it, okay?
Yeah, she did.
And in my mind, when I read, I can see, my mind starts picking up the visuals of how that scene may look, how it can be shot, the angles, the location, all of those good things. And of course, that stuff will come together as we move forward and start with the actual pre-production where we're doing the selection for casting and location, those type of things.
There's a lot of locations in here, so
Yes.
when my husband and I first, I want to interrupt you for just a second. My husband and I introduced this to a gentleman in Los Angeles. We're not talking about the actor, we're
Right.
talking about another gentleman before him, and he was able to get some information from us in regards to this book. We gave him a backdrop of it, and he said this about my books. He said this is, and I don't want it to be discounted. He said this is a $30 million project.
I believe it.
Where we're going to come, only God knows, but this is something because it starts in Manhattan.
Correct.
Ask me why did I choose Manhattan, and then I'll tell you and they have companies in Atlanta, they have a company in Los Angeles, and then there's one in China and one in Japan. So, of course, we can't go to China right now because of that coronavirus. But anyway, we can set the stage wherever we want to set the stage, and so those locations up the budget because of and then the people that we will have to use. It's diverse. Eddie and Clarissa are Caucasian. Sarah is African American, and then the board and all the extras and all the other people that are involved in it is a real diverse crowd of people. So the question you asked, how did I choose Manhattan? I could have chosen any city, but I went with a friend of mine to New York, and we went to Manhattan, and while I was there, I breathed in corruption. I breathed, some of you know what I'm talking about. I breathed in sexual promiscuity. I breathed in all of the freedom to do whatever you want to do. And I could have done that in Chicago because that's where I'm from, or Los Angeles where I lived for a while, or Miami where I've been. And I kept thinking Atlanta, all these different places. And then we passed the Trump Towers. I'm like, oh wow. So yes, Manhattan sounds better. Manhattan carries this tone. Manhattan carries what Eddie tried to pull off, which
Right.
I believe subliminally it does happen. What happens in this book really does happen, not just in Manhattan,
Right.
but all over the world. But Manhattan happened to just be the place that I chose.
Now here's the thing, when you start describing what you felt when you hit New York, like you said, all of these different elements, spirits, ambiances, the revelations that you were getting of all of the energies that were in that area. At first when you started talking about the different things that you were experiencing when you got there in Manhattan, for a second I thought you was talking about Washington, D.C., but you talked about Manhattan.
Manhattan, yes, Manhattan, because of like I said, there's a lot of rich people in Manhattan.
Yes.
And Clarissa and Eddie Ellington they were rich. They went to college together, university. They went to one of the Ivy Leagues colleges, and he had a plan and a dream to build his own business in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. And so that's what he did. And as I said, they had a daughter, and then Sarah got involved. She's so sweet. I don't know who could play her, but Sarah King is so sweet. And she became friends with Clarissa, and through the end, Sarah and Clarissa became very, very close, and Clarissa was able to help her. She came from a low-income area, and Clarissa was curious as to where she came from, and she helped her.
Right.
So you have to read the book, but she helped her. But I love the Ellingtons. You'll love Eddie at first, yes. Then you'll hate Eddie. Mm-hmm. And then you'll feel sorry for Eddie. Yeah. So you'll love Clarissa because she's a strong-willed woman. And I put myself in her place. Right. I saw me as Clarissa. Right. And how she embraced herself and then braced herself for the fall and for the spiraling down of her marriage and how everything just fell apart. Right. But she stood strong and handled it. And so, it's a great book.
Like so many women actually have to do in real life. When that relationship fails, I'm a man, and I've been in failed relationships, failed marriages, and I know how I felt leaving those situations. But as I became older, and the more clearer me, the better me who understands my true purpose and how I'm supposed to behave as a human being. Mm-hmm. The broadcast you did the other day when you were talking about how people will engage you, and the question you should ask them is, what do you want from me? Right. Mm-hmm. And any engagement that you have with any other human being should not involve you compromising who you are as a human being. You should not have to take anybody's abuse, verbal or otherwise, mental or physical or anything like that. So I learned. And the reason why I didn't mind you speaking, because first of all, this is your baby, your project. You know it better than I do. Yes. I'm getting to learn it. Mm-hmm. But I love hearing you talk. Because
love to hear me talk?
I do. I do. Because when you talk, you speak from the dirt up. Some people start way up here and want to come down on you. You start from the dirt up. And the things that you say are sensible and make sense. So I can relate to that. So many women do when this thing happens because of the emotional implant that's so strong. Let's not say men don't have emotions. We cry too. We go through changes too. We get depressed too. But you women, he's giving you that so much range of emotion because you deal with so many things. You deal with us as the men. You deal with the children. You deal with the people on your job. All of those things, so some of the things that you deal with as women, we don't deal with. And the things that we deal with as men, as far as family structure and relationships and connections, we do it differently. So when I started reading the book, I was like, oh, wow, this is lovely. Oh, he's here and she's here and they're in love and oh, that's so sweet. And he's confident in himself, regardless of the temptations, and she's confident in him and he's confident in her, and they love each other. And getting a little further along,
she still loved him.
Yeah. You wrote this?
She loved him to the end. Did I write that? Yes.
Ooh. Okay, all right. That's the decor. So again, yes, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. The title itself, Manhattan Secret, says a lot because again, we know that New York is a melting pot. And another thing that you said when you go into the second part of the background supporting people in the second part of the book, she mentioned a word that I like to hear a lot. And not that I learned the word, but it got expanded upon when I met my business partner, Mike Miles, because he went to T.C. Williams. He was a Titan. He didn't just go to see the movie with Denzel. He went to the school, he played football, he busted people's kids up. So, but the platform of that school, that educational system, was diversity and inclusion. That's what made them successful, and not just in football, in their community. that whole community, diversity and inclusion. So I embrace that, and that's part of why we have been doing what we've been doing, asking the entertainment community, everybody, come out, let's talk, let's connect. So I'm excited about this because, number one, I know it's workable. Look at all these creators in the room. There's so much power and energy. Lily and I just filmed Sid Ross in Supernatural about 3 weeks ago. We can talk 3 weeks ago. Yeah, and so, I mean, you got Michelle, you got Jake here, you got Marita Lynn, you got Letitia, you got Jackie. You got so many, and this is not the whole gamut of what we have where we can make this work. And I'm glad that a lot of people also too understand that coming out the gate, we're designing this and building this to create this trailer, this thing that's going to help us reach out for whatever monies that we need to make this the project that it's supposed to be, with no compromises and no cutting. There's billions and billions and trillions of dollars out there, and all we got to do is create the right thing and ask for it. And I'm very good at creating and asking, and a lot of you in this community know that. I don't hold my tongue. I don't hold my tongue because I had to learn. You have to ask for what you want. So now we're doing this meet and greet. After this is over, then we're going to sit down and get into our pre-production, what type of casting we need. The casting call is going to go out. There may even be some opportunities for people to help in production. Michelle is one of my good friends, Michelle Brown Houston. She does some of everything: stunt woman, karate, judo, shooting, dogs, pets, all of that. You know, but I'm saying, like, she does a gamut of things. You see, she does a little bit of hair, well, not no hair, but makeup. She films her own project. She has cameras, 4K Reds. So we've got equipment, we've got people, we've got talent. We have a blueprint to go by to create something, which came from your heart that God gave you. And all we have to do now is move forward and get it done. I don't like incompleted projects. I'll say that up front. If we start this, we're going to finish it.
We have to.
There is no other option. I would not be sitting here putting myself in this with all that we have going on with our business. I would not be sitting here having this conversation. I could care less about the lights. I could care less about the cameras. If we're not doing what God has put our hands to do, and He's given us the ability, the talent, the resources, and everything else, and we're not doing it, that falls on us.
That's right.
You look around this room, and right now in this room, even from an improv standpoint, we could shoot a short film right now because that talent is in this room.
Amen.
So I want you guys to network. I want you guys to learn to open your mouth. If you're in this business, you have no, if you're in this business, I don't know where the word shy even exists.
But it does.
It does.
It
I know.
does.
I know.
Because my husband can tell you that I was one of the shyest people ever. My mother could tell you, because even in standing up in class, I couldn't talk to anyone. I was so afraid of people at that time. And then when I met my husband and we traveled, I went through the same thing as well. But I feel that as a writer, producer, director, whatever, I am shy. But I don't know that that's the proper word. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm an introvert and my creativity comes from here. I watch here to see what I can create. Every place I go can be a story for me.
Yes.
And I just have to make it happen. So yeah, this is my baby, and I want us to handle my baby with care. Because number one, God gave it to me, and we can't handle it any other way. But I'm proud of the fact that this is something that we can put back on. We can put back on the table again. I've done this before. What do you? Am I doing it? Am I doing it, Mike? This is good, Mike?
I was trying to rock my baby. I'll take care of the twin baby over here. That's right.
All right.
We're not playing.
Okay. So what we're going to have questions. They can direct the questions regarding the book. Any questions regarding my books towards me, and any other questions regarding the production will go towards Brent. I can't answer any of those questions. I've been through that before, but I would rather just stick with my product.
Yes.
And so What we'll do, my husband is standing there, he has the mic in hand. Some of you have questions already written out, others, you may have a card or something that you want to ask. So we can begin if we are
Yes, ma'am.
ready. We can start asking questions, raise your hand, and then he will come to you, introduce yourself, and then ask the question. Remember, just ask about the book to me and all the production and everything else to Brett.
Hey, my name is Jake. My question is, how did you come up?
Your full name,
Oh.
please, when you get on the microphone, say your full name because record it, we want everybody to hear it. Someone else may see you in this setting, and want to know who you are, how to reach you. Just say your full name when you get the microphone. Thank you.
My name is Jake Sudwood, and my question is, the character names, is there a special meaning behind the character names, or is that one of the, like, I want this person to be this? Because the reason I ask that is we're working on a short film, and our character names came from, like, family. And I didn't know if that was your thought process, or...
Well, first of all, thank you for asking that. First of all, I'm Eddie in Maryland and Clarissa Ellington are Caucasian, so that didn't come from my family. So I come up with names. Just like you come up with a title of your product, you think of names. You have to be creative. Names that pop, names that come out, and it was just like, what would I call them? Clarissa. It rings. Eddie, Ellington, Maryland, Sarah, easy name. So it's just, Vanya in the second book, Vanya is in that book, who was real close to Maryland. She was a dental assistant. She knew where I was going to the dentist, and I asked her if I could use her name because they're in England. And the name Vanya just fit. So that's how I got that name. Other than that, all the names that I use are from my creativity.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Good question. Thank you.
I think we had a question right here. And let me know who you're directing it to.
Okay, hello, my name is Erica Murdoff, and my question is for Brent.
Okay.
Okay, Brent, I just want to ask a question about the editing. Do you have a full editing team that's going to
Yes.
be working on the movie?
Yes, thank you. Very good question. Over the last 5 years, when I actually came into the film industry, I already knew what direction I wanted to go in. And I consider myself to be an entertainer, not just an actor. Perfect example, Michelle just came up. She's an actress. She does hair and makeup. She films. She writes. She does. So in this business, I learned early that the more that you can do, the better off you are. Because if you're not getting booked, then you can go over here and be a PA. If you're not being a PA, then you can go over here and write for somebody if you're a good writer and people know your work, or you have a great thought process. So I learned very early to develop the broadness of my skill set to be able to do everything. So 5 years ago is when I was wanting to put all of this stuff together. When I first started in acting, Captain America 3 Civil War, I knew then, when I left that film set that day, I saw a big picture. Excuse me. And that big picture is what you see sitting here right now.
Okay.
I wanted to create a platform that was very wide, not just for me, myself. I could have ran a straight line and just zoomed Brent Moore Gaskins, but that's not the way he made me. So I wanted a platform that brought everybody in and connected people. This person needs something over here, this person's got it. This person got it and want to invest it in something, and this person needs it. I've married those two people together. Once I've married them, that creates another synergy, another complete thing. So like I said, yes, I believe in spreading it out, and I saw this 5 years ago.
Okay, next question over here.
I guess my name is Thais Edmond, and I guess this question can go to both of you. You mentioned your connection with Manhattan and thinking of the name for the book, Is it necessary, is it something in your mind that you must be in New York in order to shoot the sites?
No,
for-
no. We
Is
don't
that-
have to shoot this in New York. It's just the title of the book. It's where everything happened.
Okay,
No, we can shoot it anywhere. We can shoot it in Miami. We can shoot it right here.
Right.
You just have to have the right place and the right background in order to shoot it. No, we don't have to go to New York to do that.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Jackie Curitan, and I have a question for both of you.
Okay,
The first question is to Brent.
okay.
Do you actually have the money for the production for this particular film? And if not, how do you plan on raising the money?
For this first part, this teaser, I announced when I did the live, I announced this teaser, to make this, to go shop for the money, this is sweat equity. I don't lie to people. This is sweat equity. That's the people who I'm looking for. The people that are saying, guess what? I don't get a lot, I get opportunities because I still do a lot of background and extra running around, but a lot of people don't get opportunities to speak. And again, everybody's not going to be able to speak on this project as well, but again, this is a big project. So the teaser trailer that we're doing, that's not going to take a lot of time, that's not going to take a lot of money, but again, it's sweat equity on the front end. Once you do something like a teaser trailer where you can now take it and shop and ask for funding, do your Indiegogos and all that other good stuff, in that part of the process, you have the ability to tell people, look, if this goes somewhere, you help make the trailer realistic enough to get this money, so you got first right of refusal for casting, whatever the case may be, for that particular role, doing the whole part one, 15 million here and 15 million here, if that's what the budget ends up being.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's try and keep our questions and answers to like 2 minutes because we only have 30 minutes left. Do you have another question?
Yeah, I just want a question for you. How long did it take for you to actually write the first and the second book?
Believe it or not, it took me 3 weeks to write the entire book. Wow. But it took a whole year to complete and go in and do the editing and everything else that I need. It was already inside of me. I sat down and I just wrote it. And then I came back and I did all of the editing and everything else that I needed to do. And so then I came back and wrote part 2. So it doesn't take long when it's already inside of you.
Yes.
It just, what happens is how you have to produce it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Robert Edwards here.
Robert?
Robert, what's going
This,
on?
questions for Brent. And piggyback off of what you mentioned about the budget, how do you and how will you handle the budget tracking and I guess researching and finding out what's needed and, you know, as relates to dealing with the budget?
So when she asked earlier about the editing, there's a network of people, professionals in this market. Some people are immediately attached to the team, and some people are sitting on the outside waiting for an opportunity like this to come that's bigger than what we have on our team. That's when we reach out to the community and say, we need an editor, and we look at people's work, we look at their editing work. So we shop for that within the community. We put our own people to work first, and that's not being selfish, but we go inside the community to people like you and say, hey, we know your skill. We've already announced what we need, and you say, hey, yeah, I do this and this and this. We want people that are here in our footprint to get the work first, that are qualified to do it the way that we want it to get done with the budget that we have. So we're going to pull from this community for everything that we need.
Okay. Next person. Up front.
Hi, this question is, Marie Toon Frazier. Sorry. And this question is for Brent. Have you ever turned a major novel such as Manhattan Secret into a film? If so, where can we see it work?
No, I have not turned a novel into a film. I did help turn, and I'll make this very clear. There's a project called Contrarily Speaking. It's a movie that we've already done. It's the publicist has already released it in 3,000 markets. You've seen my post on Facebook about it. The lead actor was the actual director himself. I was first AD. He spent more time in front of the camera than he did behind. So you can take a look at the trailers, the clips, and all of that. So I did help develop that. I have helped on the back end as a person who went and found money for other people's projects before, not the first time. Those people's, my involvement in those people's projects were, from their contract, most of them, the big ones, confidential. So I do know where money is. I know how to find money. There are people sitting around with money who want to see what this first teaser trailer park looks like. And there's a lot of them right here in North Carolina, especially High Point, where I was at for 6 months, and I developed relationships with the mayor, the economic development community, and multimillionaires that have money who want to put their money somewhere. So I want to get this done with the sweat equity and take it and say, you guys have been waiting, here it is, where's the money?
Okay.
Good question, thank you. Go
So
ahead.
Brent, since you keep bringing up sweat equity, you may need to let people know what that is, just to be clear.
Okay, so for the people who are not familiar with the term sweat equity means you and your friends get to, you and your peers get together. You're not coming to the project for pay. It's not going to consume 3, 4, 5 months of your time. It's not going to take us no amount of filming time to create a trailer to tease people and say, this is what you have to look forward to. Funding provided where we can move this to the big project 1, the big project 2. So sweat equity is, I'm an actor, I'm an actress, you have an opportunity, I'm not doing anything else, I want to help you make this because I believe in what I read, saw, heard, spirits I felt, connections, network or not, I want to be a part of it, and here you go. Sweat equity. I've gone and done projects where I didn't get paid anything, or maybe somebody said, oh, you're from out of town? Let me give you some gas money, 25, 30. Anybody that's an actor, actress ever worked on a project like that? Yes or no? Okay, so we do have a couple of hands in the room. So sweat equity is, I see it, I hear it, I'm here, I believe it, I want to help you create the first part so we can move on to the bigger part. So sweat equity is no money. That's not to say that someone may bless the production with some money and say, okay, well, thank you guys, here's $100 for you, 100 for you, 100 for you, 100 for you, 100 for you. But sweat equity means just that, sweat. You put your sweat in, you get the work done. Oh, we got a finished product. We put our hands together, our minds, we shop it, and we get what we want. So sweat equity is no money.
What I want to say to this, I don't want to look at it like that in the sense of people are saying, okay, I want to come to this, but there's no money, because this is their livelihood.
understand.
First of all, I want to say that we still have to cast.
Right.
We still have to have an audition. We still have to bring people in before we can even get to a teaser.
Right.
There's no teaser. There's an invisible teaser right now.
Right.
But we have to do auditions. So all of that has to come step for step for step. Once we get our people, the same people that we have chosen for the teasers are the same people that are going to be a part of this, which brings in the money for them. I am not going to let anybody on a $30 million project end up with nothing.
Oh, no.
So, because that's my heart. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. This is written for me to be enjoying me and my creativity, but it's written for you so that you could then enjoy it and also be a part of it and be cast in it.
Right.
I think we've got something shaking over here for me.
It's a cue card.
It's a very
I
quick,
know what
very
it
quickly.
is, but I can't read it.
One more question right here. Yeah, one more.
question.
Hold on, very quickly. The sweat equity is just for the teaser trailer part that's not going to take us but a couple of days to get done. The big budget hits and somebody says, yes, I'll back it and fund it, yeah, you're going to get paid.
Okay.
30 million? Really?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make that clear because I heard that. So yeah, just sweat equity is just for us to get this done so we can get someone else
Okay.
to give us the money. Right.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay. All right.
One quick question.
Yes, sir.
I'm Dr. Randall Hall Walker. My question is, you had shared earlier about your beginning of your life and how you got started. Can you recap that for us? And we're going to have to close shortly, but if you could recap that for us, that would
Are
be
you
great.
talking about when I started at 10? Or?
Yes.
That's hard to do because it takes so much energy. When I've known, I guess, that I could do this at the age of 10, the challenge came for me to write a play. My teacher then took my play and tore it up and said that I didn't write it. Where would I get it from? I'm 10. What do I really know other than what was inside of me and my potential? She did not see it, or she just didn't see it. I really want to believe it was just far beyond her at my age to be able to do something like that. Today, you see people at the age of 10 they're getting all kinds of awards and whatever, but in those days, when I was younger, they didn't do that, and so it almost killed me, devastated me, but again, as I went through that to 16, writing, producing, directing my first play, and then moving forward into modeling, from modeling into going out to California. I was in a movie as an extra with, I can't think of her name, but no, I think it could have been Vonetta McGee. I think it was Vonetta McGee, called Brothers, and a Pepsi commercial, and all the other things I did out in California. Does that help?
That helps a lot. All right, let's give them a big hand. We're going to take a break. Let's give them a great big hand.